Roger Stone is an advisor to Donald Trump. He brags about it all the time. He bragged about it to Nomi Konst during the inauguration ball that he attended. She's one of our reporters, and he talked about how he met Trump when he was a young man, and he's the one who urged him to run for president in the first place. And just like Donald Trump, he sends crazy tweets in the middle of the night. And he did that recently, and it got him in a little bit of trouble, so he then deleted the tweets. Now, Roger, you ought to know better than that. There ain't no deleting tweets on Twitter. In fact, that then is a giant red flag to everybody. Oh, look at what those tweets said. They apparently were very interesting. And yes, this does get into policy ramifications in a second. But first, let's have fun and tell you the insane tweets that he had. Starts out nice and mild, normal right-wing nut job. He says, the buck stops here. Obama responsible for illegal surveillance of Donald Trump must be charged, convicted, and jailed. Now look, in the old days, that would not be normal at all. For someone close to the president to suggest that the former president should be jailed would have been an extreme statement, but everything about Roger Stone and everything about Donald Trump is extreme anyway, so that doesn't really raise too many eyebrows these days. Then he attacks J.K. Rowling because, of course, she needed to be attacked. What did Harry Potter do? Okay, well, apparently he heard on Prison Planet that she's a hypocrite. Really, let's find out why. Hey, J.K. Rowling, how come you haven't taken Cernovich or Prison Planet up on offer to house refugees/migrants, #hypocrite. I don't see what that has to do with anything. Just because you say, hey, I think that we should be humane towards refugees doesn't mean that you need to house them yourself. But that is a minor point. If all he done was attack J.K. Rowling out of nowhere based on insane conspiracies at Prison Planet, okay, no big deal. Wait, it gets worse. So now we go to the next tweet here, and he's attacking a woman who is apparently a feminist, RVA Monk, who had tweeted back to him. So he then replies to her, bring it, would enjoy crush you in court and forcing you to eat shit, you stupid, ignorant, ugly bitch. This is a top advisor to the President of the United States. Jesus Christ, what have we done? Okay, we're not anywhere near done yet, and we haven't even gotten to policy yet. Then he attacks Ana Navarro. She's well known in the media, and he decides he's gonna get even uglier. He says, really? Ana Navarro is fat, stupid, and fucking, well, I have no idea if she's actually having sex with anyone, is dating, married to, I don't know. Okay, and then he lists a name. But the relevance of that is what? No one knows except he likes to smear people. Now, is he high? Is he drunk? I have no idea. Or maybe this is just the real Roger Stone, that he's stone cold sober. Didn't mean that pun. But this is the ugliness that is Roger Stone. Then he does something he really shouldn't have done. I mean, the personal insults for a top advisor to the president have become par for the course, I guess. Then he mentions again, hey, let's put this up, his connection to WikiLeaks. He says to, again, RVA Monk, you stupid, stupid bitch, never denied perfectly legal back channel to Assange, who indeed had the goods on crooked Hillary. Oops. Now, look, there's investigations into whether Russia interfered in our elections, and one of the charges is that they gave the information that they hacked to WikiLeaks. Now, that requires an investigation. I don't blame WikiLeaks for publishing that information. That's a wholly separate matter. And in fact, Stone had admitted that earlier and gave very good evidence, whether it was on purpose or accidentally, that he was communicating with WikiLeaks. Now today, he says that this investigation into Russian interference with elections is, quote, a witch hunt. Really? Because back during the campaign, he'd said, I do have back channel communication with Assange because we have a good mutual friend. That friend travels back and forth from the United States to London, and we talk. I had dinner with him last Monday. And it's not normal braggadocio for Roger Stone, which he does plenty of. He had said at the time in August of last year, now this is very important, before the John Podesta emails were leaked by WikiLeaks, he had tweeted out, "Trust me, it will soon be Podesta's time in the barrel." So he knew the Podesta emails were coming out before they came out. Now that doesn't mean that the Russians gave it to WikiLeaks. It does mean that Roger Stone, who said Russia, I don't know anything about Russia, Trump, Russia, absolutely not, at least has a connection to WikiLeaks. That's all we know for so far. The second thing we know is that Roger Stone realizes he shouldn't have admitted that, hence the deleted tweets. Yeah, I mean, you think he deletes every time he calls someone a bitch? I mean, that's Roger Stone on a daily basis. That wasn't the issue. The issue was, oops, I shouldn't have reiterated that I am connected to WikiLeaks, because if they can connect WikiLeaks to the Russian leaks, does that implicate me and Trump? Turns out tweeting in the middle of the night, not a great idea if you're Trump or an advisor. After deleting the tweets and getting caught, he then goes out and says, "Oh, no big deal, no big deal." Anyway, he tweets, "Just nothing better than calling out liberal jerk-offs on Twitter. We won, you lost, you're done." Putting on a brave face. Okay, I hear you. And then he says, "Misogyny's in the eye of the beholder. Stupid libelous tweets will be responded to regardless of the gender of the moron tweeting." I mean, just take one of those tweets, and if a top Obama advisor, the guy who encouraged and got Obama to run for office, had tweeted that stuff, imagine the storm that would arise. My last one is maybe my favorite, when he's trying to cover his ass. Meltdown? No, just a typical Saturday night, kicking liberal ass in the Stone Zone. Child, loser, sad, baby, and possibly implicated. You don't want to sign up for membership?
Wrong.
You're going to love membership. tytnetwork.com/join.